I have a question. What do you do when you're doing all the good parenting techniques and it's still not working? Because I feel like I'm following everything I believe in, from strong attachment to empathy, boundaries, prioritizing play, all of it. And sometimes it just still feels like it falls flat. I'm about 3.5 years into my mothering journey right now with my 3.5-year-old son and then also my 4.5-month-old daughter. And it's wonderful, but it's also exhausting, frustrating, and sometimes just downright enraging. I spend a lot of time researching parenting styles and advice out there, and so far I'm kind of honing in on the Dr. Becky, Dr. Gabor Mate type of approaches where it's more about connection over control and developing a really strong attachment with your kids. Also being really present and also holding boundaries while also being empathetic at the same time. I also follow other YouTube channels that are a very Montessori-based approach that show simple techniques to work through different situations that are maybe causing frustration. And the advice that I see out there is great. I take tidbits from that. I write my own scripts that are really specific for my scenarios and my challenges within my house. I print them out, I put them on the refrigerator or in the bathroom or wherever those challenges are kind of popping up. But lately I've just been wondering, what do I do when those things don't work? When those scripts don't play out like that simple YouTube example says that it's supposed to? When that great best practice parenting advice is completely landing flat or just completely not applying to my situation at all? What happens when we're saying the right things? We're setting up the circumstance perfectly. We're using our script. We're speaking in a calm, chill way, and yet things just still do not work out and behaviors still don't change. And then layering on top of that, the different expectations that my partner and I have for what constitutes successful parenting and how long it should take for those strategies to demonstrate that they are successful. So here's a story from my life right now. I am constantly baby wearing my daughter, and my son likes to come very close to us and purposely make a loud noise or yell to wake her up. And it's extremely frustrating. And I try to walk through the reasoning and teach him why that's not okay. And we'll go through the entire scenario and sequence of events together. I'll say, hey, your baby sister's going to sleep, so we're gonna need to use calm and quieter voices or not play with some loud toys. You can play with these toys over here right now. Can you tell me what happens if you yell or make a loud noise? And he says, then she'll wake up. And I say, yep, she'll wake up. And what happens if she wakes up before she's ready to? And he'll say, she'll cry. And I'll say, yep, she'll cry. And why is she gonna cry? And he'll say, because she's cranky. And I'll say, right. And why is she gonna feel cranky? And he'll say, because she's tired. She didn't get enough sleep. And I'll say, yes, that's exactly right. And I might also say, and what does it sound like to our ears when she cries? Is it loud or is it soft? And he'll say, it's really loud. Okay, cool. So does that feel good or feel bad in your ears when your sister cries loudly? And he'll say, it feels bad. So clearly he's demonstrating he fully understands the situation and what's going to happen if he yells. But does that mean that he stays quiet? No, absolutely not. And then I'm just left there thinking, okay, is what I'm doing working or is it not working? Because I feel like I'm talking about the right things, but the behavior is still persisting. And I think that's where I'm having sort of a mindset shift right now, that understanding does not equate to behavioral changes. Just because a child can explain something to you and they understand doesn't mean that they can actually follow through and make the choice that you're trying to get them to make. And I feel like a lot of parenting advice out there is just skipping over that part. But now I'm starting to wonder, are the metrics by which I'm measuring successful parenting actually correct? What if working doesn't actually mean behavioral change? What if it actually means understanding the situation? And maybe the behavior just takes longer to catch up because they're 3 years old. They're impulsive, they're curious, they're loud. That doesn't mean that the lesson didn't sink in. And then this is the part that I've actually been thinking about the most. What if the thing that's really changing is not my child, but it's actually me? What if success doesn't mean that my child is actually changing their behavior, but that I am able to change my behavior and my reactivity to things that trigger me and frustrate me? What if I'm repairing when I mess up? Maybe I'm asking my kid if I can try again. Maybe I'm just not adding fuel to the fire and escalating the situation, or maybe I'm just staying calm one more time this week than I did last week. So instead of feeling demoralized when he walks up to her and then yells and wakes her up, I can just think to myself, you know what? This isn't failure, this is actually just practice. Because even if the behavior hasn't fully caught up yet with the learning, what is actually happening and what has actually progressed with my kid? He's practicing impulse control. He's practicing cause and effect. He's testing, do I still want to make this choice even though I'm fully aware of what's going to happen? And honestly, that's probably going to have to happen a lot more times than I think it should to be able for that whole cycle to actually stick and root in his brain. And I'm practicing too. I'm practicing trying to stay calm in moments that I feel are extremely triggering or extremely frustrating. I'm practicing holding a boundary without overreacting, because at the end of the day, I can't stop my child from making noise. So maybe the boundary isn't, I won't let you make noise and wake your sister up. It's that maybe I'm just going to change the situation up and set it up differently so that it doesn't happen the exact same way over and over again. I'm practicing not taking it personally, even when it really does feel personal sometimes. And I'm also practicing repair when I mess up. I'm trying to redefine what progress actually looks like. It's not what I thought it was, which is he's just not going to do that behavior and make that noise again. It looks like something else. It might look like maybe he's less likely to do it over a period of time. Maybe he pauses and I can see those wheels spinning before he decides to yell. Maybe it's just a look and a little smile because he knows exactly what I'm thinking. Maybe that first yell didn't actually wake her up and he recovers quickly and he's willing to understand, okay, if I do that again, it probably definitely will wake her up. So I'm just going to act differently this time. Or maybe it's as simple as he's just going to have to accept that I'm going to offer some kind of alternative and we're going to do a different type of play that is conducive to being more quiet while she's sleeping. And maybe that can also be fun too. And for me, maybe I'm just staying calm one more time a little bit better than I did last week. Or maybe I'm catching myself falling into the same patterns faster and trying to course correct. Maybe I'm practicing the different types of boundaries that I can set with that situation and actually follow through with. So maybe it's less about teaching, but it's more about how I'm adjusting the situation because it's not quite working yet. So in this example, boundaries might look like, hey, we're going to go to another room so that your sister can fall asleep while you play with these toys, and then I'm going to come back out when she's asleep. Or hey, we're going to play with these toys over here that are a little bit more quiet, and then when she wakes up, we can play with these really big, loud toys over here. Or maybe it's, hey, now's a great time to read. That's a very low volume voice activity, and I'm going to stay close to you. That way we can both stay quiet and calm together. And then arguably the most important part is me probably just accepting and internalizing that even if I feel like I'm doing all the right things, he's still gonna yell. And there's nothing I can do about that except just accept the situation and just move forward calmly. So instead of expecting these behavioral changes, I'm just seeing it more as a process of progress for both of us and practice for both of us. He's learning how to manage his impulses, and then I'm learning how to regulate myself and stay calm in the process and guide him towards situations that are going to be more likely to set him up for success. And when I look at it that way, it doesn't feel like failure. It just feels like it's working within a different time and in different layers than I had expected. I do not have a perfect answer yet, but I feel like this space where things don't work right away is probably where the most parenting growth actually happens.